paid education and its consequences. Modern education has many disadvantages, including high tuition fees. Many students are forced to pay off student loans for years after graduation, and this situation is not normal. The high cost of education is a problem for most Americans, including those from all classes and cultures, except perhaps the elites. If the student's parents have the opportunity, they take on the burden of funding. The third type is students who receive grants or tuition discounts, for example, for outstanding ability in sports. This essay claims that whether or not students personally pay for their education, they experience associated increased pressure and stress. Let us consider that parents pay for the student's education. In such a case, formally, a young person does not feel financial responsibility. However, people who know the typical behavior of parents will agree that the student will not be allowed to forget this fact. Awareness of the high cost of education will encourage the student to put more effort into their studies. However, if the family suddenly loses a source of income, the problem of financing will be seen as critical. Therefore, given the current realities of the labor market, the student will always feel threatened, which will cause additional stress. People whose parents pay for education, at first glance, have some advantages and may be more frivolous in their studies and set lower goals. Still, eventually, they face the same problem of financial responsibility as the rest of the students. In some cases, students take out loans to get the education of their dreams. Such loans are issued under government programs and include discounts to support the younger generation, such as a 20% or 30% reduction in repayments, or extremely low interest rates. However, the payouts, which students are initially more optimistic about, will become a serious problem if they cannot get a good job immediately after graduation. Therefore, during the school year, many students look for part-time jobs to pay off their loans and reduce stress. As a result, they have less time for study and rest, which is reflected in the ease of assimilation of information and mental health. These students are likely to be overly demanding of themselves, as a stable job is their only financial solution, and may be more cynical towards the competitors they begin to see in other students. Some students receive grants for education, in the form of 100% or 70% discounts. At first glance, this is a serious advantage, as it frees them from thinking about paying for tuition. However, most athletes are highly dependent on the opinions of their coaches and faculty members, who evaluate their potential during training. Failure in a sport can result in the forfeiture of a grant, and if the student does not have a plan B, they may feel threatened. As a result, in the event of sports failures, the students will feel deeply stressed and may experience nervous breakdowns. In addition, many may give up the dream of sports in the middle of the road, which also becomes a serious dilemma. These students may relate to their studies unevenly, showing no interest, or abruptly showing extremely high interest. They are the minority and are more vulnerable than the first two groups. Thus, it was argued that all students experience increased stress due to financial responsibility. Those who pay off loans for education experience the most stress and an increased level of responsibility for which they are not ready due to their young age. At the same time, students who are paid for by their parents can be less self-confident because they do not feel their own merits. Such students may be more optimistic and kind, but they may feel they are losing ground if the family's financial stability is threatened. Finally, students who are paid for by third parties become dependent on the demands of these parties and often have to sacrifice their academic interests.